There's something about a mother's love that feels untouchable, like no matter what storms hit the house, she'll be the last one standing. But what happens when the storm is coming from inside that same house? This isn't just another tragic case. This is a story about a 14-year-old boy, a mother who gave everything, and a community that never saw it coming. This is the murder of Tiffany Harris, and what you're about to hear is going to make you question everything you believe about family, safety, and second chances. Before we dive deeper into this thrilling and devastating story, smash that subscribe button and give this video a like to support Murder We Heard TV, because these are the stories that need to be told. Every like, every comment, every sub helps us keep bringing you real stories that shake communities and expose the truth. Now let's get into it. Riverview, Florida. Tiffany Harris was known in her community as the kind of woman who made people feel seen. At 39, she was raising 3 children on her own, and still found time to be a shoulder for her neighbors, a support for her friends, and a rock for her family. She had just received news that made her heart light up. Her oldest daughter was pregnant. Tiffany was about to become a grandmother, and she was ready for that chapter. She was already planning baby showers, helping shop for supplies. It was a rare moment of joy in a life that hadn't always been easy. But joy can be fragile, especially when someone in your own home is silently unraveling. Her youngest son, 14-year-old Adeem Berry, wasn't the kind of kid that raised red flags. He wasn't in trouble at school. He didn't run with a bad crowd. On the outside, he was just a quiet 8th grader, lost in his headphones and video games. But behind closed doors, things were starting to change. He had grown distant. He would stare into space for long periods of time, not responding when spoken to. And at family gatherings, it was like he wasn't even there. Not really. Some called it teenage moodiness, others, a phase, but in hindsight, they were signs that something was deeply, dangerously wrong. It was Sunday, September 10th, 2023, a quiet evening. Tiffany was at home with her boyfriend, 31-year-old Cortavius Cruz. The two had been dating for just over a month. Things were still new, but Tiffany seemed hopeful. She deserved that. We may never know what sparked the argument between them that night, but according to neighbors, voices began to rise, and in another room, Adeem was listening. Then something snapped. He got up, he went to his mother's purse, and he pulled out the handgun she kept inside. He didn't yell, he didn't argue, he just walked back to the living room, raised the gun, and started firing. Cortavius was hit multiple times, in the shoulder, jaw, leg, and hands. He was bleeding out, but managed to escape the house and call for help. Tiffany didn't run. She ran toward her son. She fought to wrestle the gun from his hands. And in that struggle, a bullet struck her. This was no longer an argument. This was a mother dying on the floor of her own home. Her son, the boy she gave life to, was now standing over her with a smoking weapon. By the time deputies from Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office arrived, the scene was surreal. Cortavius was outside, bleeding, Tiffany was unresponsive, and Adeem was still standing in the driveway, armed. That's when a now viral moment began to unfold. A 16-minute standoff between police and a child with a gun in his hand, and a war raging in his head. Here's how the confrontation begins, tense, emotional, and heartbreaking from the very first words.
I don't want to hurt you, bro. I do not want to shoot you. Put it down. You don't want to end it this way. You don't want to end it this way, brother. I promise you. Whatever happened today, it can be fixed. Don't pull the trigger. Put it down. Adeem, put it down, buddy. Don't do it, man. Put it down.
The deputies weren't barking orders. They were begging. They saw a kid in crisis, not a criminal. As Adeem moved back and forth, armed and unstable, an officer continued calmly, trying to reach what little of the boy remained.
It can be fixed. Don't pull the trigger. Put it down. Adeem, put it down, buddy. Don't do it, man. Put it down.
Adeem was spiraling. One moment, he would lift the gun to his own head. The next, he would lower it and cry. Officers had to make split-second decisions, not just to protect the public, but to protect this child from himself. And when it seemed like Adeem might surrender, the officer offered a promise that would define the tone of the entire standoff.
Come toward me, man. Come toward me. My gun is only out because I don't know what you're going to do. When you get to over here, I'm going to have you, listen to me, I'm going to have you lay down on the ground, and my gun is going in my holster, I promise you. If you will walk toward me.
They repeated his name again and again, not like a suspect, but like a son.
Keep your hands up, Adeem. Keep your hands up. Don't go back toward that thing, man. Walk toward me with your hands up. I'm going to walk you through every process. Please don't pick that back up. Please don't. Hey, one person talking. Please don't pick that back up. I got you. I got you.
This was no longer about arrests. This was about keeping this boy alive.
I got you. I got you, dog. I'm telling you, I got you. Listen to how this will go. If you'll walk out to me with your hands up in the air. When you get to about right here, I'm going to have you lay down on the ground. My gun is going in the holster. Bet that. It's going in the holster. Don't pick it up, Adeem. Don't do it, buddy. You made such a good choice putting it down, bro. Just leave it on the ground, Adeem. Walk all the way out. All the way. Keep coming. Keep coming to me. Keep coming to me. Keep coming. I'm going to tell you when to stop. Keep coming to me, bud. Keep coming. Keep coming. Come on. You're good, bro. You're good. You're good. Keep walking toward me. Adeem, don't do it, bud. Keep on. Keep on. Keep on. Keep on. Keep coming toward me. Keep coming toward me. The pavement's going to be hot. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you lay down in the grass. 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 Watch. Lay all the way down. My gun is going in its holster. Somebody's got cover. All right. Hey.
When Adeem finally laid down in the grass, officers moved in, fast. He was taken into custody without further resistance. The weapon was recovered. The boy was bruised, dazed, and silent. Paramedics rushed to treat Tiffany Harris, but it was too late. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Cortavius Cruz, still clinging to life, was rushed to a nearby hospital. He had been shot 5 times, including in the face, shoulder, and both hands. Doctors began an immediate series of life-saving surgeries. That night, Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister stood in front of a stunned crowd of reporters. He had seen violence before, but this was different. His voice was heavy, his tone, exhausted. Here's the moment Sheriff Chronister addressed the public, just hours after the murder.
The scene behind me is one that nightmares are made of, and that is extremely heartbreaking. So let me try to describe how we
14-year-old had
got
just
to
killed
this
his
point.
own mother and nearly took the life of her boyfriend.
After 4 p.m., our communications center starts receiving several 911 emergency calls here in the Summerfield subdivision in the Riverview area. One of the first ones we received was from a neighbor who said that there was a male who fled his house and he'd been shot several times. At the same time, we received a 911 call that there was a young black male who was running through the subdivision waving a firearm, and at one point even putting the firearm up to his head. Deputies immediately respond on scene. They come into contact with this young male and immediately begin to de-escalate the situation. When I tell you that these deputies de-escalated this situation over a 16-minute negotiation, their de-escalation was textbook. Absolutely set the example on how de-escalation should exist. They were calm, they were collective, there was no yelling, and they established a rapport with with this young male who at least 6 times continued to put the firearm to his head, threatening to commit suicide. Now, when he put the firearm to his head, at the same time as he changed his mind, he would lower the firearm. You see what I just did there as he's pointing the firearm? When I talk about these deputies and the extreme restraint that they used. They had the intuition to know that this young male wasn't trying to threaten them with the firearm or trying to shoot them. He was simply threatening suicide. So they continued to slow things down. At one point, they become successful. He places the firearm on the ground. Not too long after that, they continue to talk to him as they're trying to coax him to walk towards him. He goes to reach to pick up the firearm. The deputies, again, using their training, using great restraint, use what we have in a less lethal option. Well, fortunately, the deputies here are equipped with a 40 millimeter launcher. It's a less lethal tool. What it's meant to do is gain compliance once they feel pain that's caused from this projectile. This top part is fired towards a suspect. At over 40 yards, our deputy fires this projectile towards this young man, trying to gain compliance as he's reaching towards the ground. You can imagine the marksmanship where he strikes this young man in the hand and then continues to the torso area. The male immediately comes up and realizes, hey, listen, I don't want to feel that again. They establish additional conversation with him, asking him to please don't reach again towards that firearm. We don't want to discharge this again. Worse yet, please, we don't want to shoot you. They start imploring him to put his hands in the air, walk towards them where they can place him into custody. Eventually, that's exactly what he does. He walks towards the deputies with his hands in the air, and he is placed into custody without incident. During this occurring, we're responding to the 911 call where the male was shot.
By the next morning, Adeem Berry was being held in juvenile detention. He was formally charged with second-degree murder for killing his mother, attempted first-degree murder for shooting Cortavius Cruz, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The law was clear, but the community was not. Some saw a monster, others saw a broken child, and many wondered, where do we even go from here? As the legal process began, Cortavius Cruz was still in a hospital bed, numb from medication, barely able to speak, but fully aware that his life had changed forever. And when he could finally talk, he didn't focus on himself, he focused on her. From his hospital bed, Cortavius delivered a statement that stunned reporters. She saved my life. She could have run, but she didn't. She fought to protect me, and I'll never forget that sacrifice. Tiffany's final moments weren't quiet. They were brave. They were loud. They were everything you hope a person would do in their last breath, fighting to protect someone they love. News of the murder spread quickly across Riverview. Tiffany wasn't just a name in a headline. She was a neighbor, a friend, a volunteer, a mother, a grandmother-to-be. Vigils were held, tears were shed, and whispers turned into conversations, serious ones, about mental health in teens, firearm safety in homes, and the invisible signs of family violence. But the loudest question in everyone's heart was the same. How could this happen? How could a 14-year-old boy, with no criminal history, no violent outbursts, no police records, pick up a gun and destroy everything? Psychologists began weighing in on the case. Many pointed to emotional suppression and environmental instability. Some said the new relationship in the house could have triggered feelings of abandonment or confusion. Others wondered if there were undiagnosed mental health issues, but no one had a full answer, because sometimes the silence hides everything. And while this case didn't follow the traditional narrative of domestic violence, Sheriff Chronister made it clear. In a closing statement, the sheriff broadened the definition of domestic violence.
This is family violence at its worst.
And made a plea, not as a sheriff, but as a human being.
Projectile. We used to just...
Here's the moment Chronister called out to anyone suffering in silence.
Please, if you believe you're a victim or the potential is there, make that phone call. It will change your life. It will save your life.
In the days after the shooting, the headlines faded, but the grief didn't. Tiffany's oldest daughter, pregnant and preparing for motherhood, now had to bury her own. Adeem's older brother, who had witnessed everything, was left to carry the trauma of what he saw, what he heard, and what he couldn't stop. Sheriff Chronister confirmed the brother wasn't physically harmed, but emotionally. Certainly has a lot of emotional harm, but no physical harm this evening. And then there was Tiffany Harris, Tiffany's mother, a grandmother now facing the unthinkable, the loss of her daughter, the arrest of her grandson, and the fear that it all could have been prevented. Teresa didn't vanish into grief. She stood up in the middle of it. She began speaking publicly about the gaps in the system, the silence around teen mental health, the lack of gun safety enforcement, and how the signs of domestic violence aren't always bruises or screams. Sometimes they're just a change in the air. She called for mandatory mental health checks in schools, safe firearm storage laws, and the funding of emergency response resources for families with unstable youth. Her message was clear. My daughter's death should be a wake-up call for everybody, and the community listened. In Riverview, churches partnered with counselors to provide free trauma sessions. Local schools implemented flag systems to identify emotionally distressed teens. The sheriff's office invested in more non-lethal tools for crisis calls involving minors. But the most powerful legacy, support groups were created for families who were afraid of their own children, something most people are too ashamed to say out loud. These rooms, these meetings, became safe spaces where people finally whispered their truth. I think my child is becoming dangerous. I need help before it's too late. Even now, with arrests made and changes in place, the story doesn't feel finished. Why didn't Adeem ask for help? Why didn't the family notice sooner? Why was there a loaded gun in a purse, in a home with a struggling teenager? Some questions don't have clean answers, but what we can do is learn and act, and never assume that silence means safety. Tiffany Harris was more than a victim. She was a mother, a protector, and in the end, a hero. She saw a gun, she saw danger, and she didn't freeze. She moved toward the threat, toward her son, toward the person she still believed she could save, and she paid with her life. If this story shook you, if it made you rethink what danger looks like, if you're holding on to something, a gut feeling, a concern, a secret, don't stay silent, because silence almost always comes before tragedy. Comment below, tell us where you're watching from. Have you seen signs like this in your community? Like and subscribe to Murder We Heard TV, because the only way to honor victims like Tiffany is to make sure their stories never get buried again. This was the story of Tiffany Harris, a mother, a warrior, and the woman who gave everything to protect what she loved, even when it was already too late. Sidlon, rest in power, Tiffany.